Prologue. Day's Diary. Diary. I tally the dissection theatre's subjects again. 93 female corpses. 180 pregnant. 40 embryos, not quite human, plagued with dyscrasia. Dr. Grave has brought the fresh batch, magically collecting the victims from afar, and now his minion barbers labor to render the flesh blood and bone. Dyscrasia has affected the land for decades. All clans contribute victims. Clan Quall, the tailors and dyers of the Central Gorge. Clan Ton, the metalworkers, jewelers, and stonecutters of the northeastern ridge. And Clan Lysis, the painters and craftsmen of the Western Highlands. Even the godless folk of the Cromlechon cave colony, under which this theatre rests, donate lives. The scene before me represents the land's dire health. Dead mothers piled in heaps, their orphaned, lost children seeking refuge here. Victims of dyscrasia, a disease of blood and spirit. The lifeless embryos exhibit the disease explicitly. The stillborn mutants present eldritch traits, all unique and terrible. Beaks and downy feathers adorn the avian ones. Translucent, soft-shell exoskeletons wrap the invertebrate insectan type, which are always infected with worms. They are actually larvae, as Dr. Grave often corrects me. Larval wormen, he calls them. They get much larger as they age, as testified by a mummified example, suspended in the theatre by 5 iron rods. It is nigh a fathom long. When he sees these embryonic larvae, Grave becomes emotional, stroking their skins as if to comfort them. He would nurse them to maturity if he could. I know not the extent of his necromantic powers, but it is clear he is motivated by some fascination for the insects. Dr. Grave is an ageless figure who reeks of smoke and is armoured with distressed leather made of human flesh. I have never seen his face, owing to the fact it is forever concealed behind his hood of oiled skin. The cloaked barbers of his guild dissect and prepare the bodies. It has never been clear where the bodies are eventually buried. Before they leave the theatre, I sketch as many as I can. For example, consider the sketch of the woman before me now. Inside this dead mother's womb, I discovered 3 eggs. 2 of them were cracked, filled with misshapen embryos. These specimens had transmuted to stone, petrified into fossils. 1 intact egg, more fragile and not yet calcified, concealed a developed tusked nymph, itself infected with larval vermin. I see my mother's reflection in this lady. Perhaps I will see her again, brought here to the theatre as one dead. That possibility terrifies me. It would be fitting, however, for her to find me here, to judge me for leaving her to battle my drunken father alone. I ran away from him, not her. She probably has been searching for me for years, but I cannot go back. My fear of him is more than my love for her. This dissection theatre within the Cromlechon colony is my home now. Dr. Grave had welcomed me here years ago, and there seems no better place for me in this desolate land. I am safe here. I seem to be immune, for I have often contacted contagious fluids without consequence. Grave says there must be something in my blood that protects me. For some reason, he laughs when he says that. Dr. Grave says the tribal Picti are responsible for the disease. He promises to take me to one of their mysterious rites soon. I can hardly wait to see a ritual promised to demonstrate the intangible link between the humans and elders, and perhaps reveal mysteries, like how their worshipping propagated the disease. Now the avian and insectan elders are nearly extinct. Those living are mutated, and their symbiotic Picti die with them. These humans persist only in pockets, primarily within the Lysis clan. Grave says the insectan elders were once large enough that people could ride them like horses. Now only the miniature variety survives, and these appear as common insects. Grave pats me on the back, laughs, and says, "Be wary of the ones that glow in the night. The fireflies, the lightning bugs, they bite." I never understood if he was warning me or ridiculing me. The avian type is all but extinct. There is at least one survivor, a female harpy who haunts the land preying solely on men. Sometimes Grave gathers the few victims she leaves to decompose in nature. Their injuries suggest having fallen in a battle before being raped and eaten. She is a vampire, a succubus, and a predator. Grave has been tracking her for a long time, but she evades him. He is not skilled enough as a hunter. I hesitate to predict the outcome of their confrontation, if ever he caught her. The emotional force of 100 corpses suffocates me now. My only home, my very life as an artist of anatomy, cannot be sustained. It is all I have, but it is rotten. In order to have some protection from the elements, the orphaned children don themselves in the bloody aprons of the barbers. Whereas once I was saddened by such desperate measures, now I find them strangely familiar. I am not the only one in need of salvation. The entire land needs a healer. I am no healer, nor does Dr. Graves seem to be a candidate. He claims to want to cure the disease, but seems more concerned about resurrecting dead insects than saving humans. Graves seems to welcome the loss of life, as if he needs to harvest blood for his own mysterious rite. He is a bit like the raven that feeds on carrion, tending to death, but not preventing it. One day I will leave the theatre. I will look for a savior that will resurrect the vitality of the land. Anyone who could conquer this disease, which is rooted in the fabric of the land, must be likewise terrible. Perhaps there will be a hero, a warrior who will vanquish Dyscrasia, only to usher unforeseen horrors into this world. Horrors that will make us all suffer so much, we will wish Dyscrasia to return. This has been Lords of Dyscrasia, written by SELindberg, read by Thomas Hackett. Copyright SELindberg, production copyright Thomas Hackett, 2015.